The movie started with a scene of Zoe calling her mother, Claire, to wake her up because of her fear. Then Claire got up and turned on the flashlight, then went to check on Zoe, who she found under the bed. When she asked her why she was afraid, Zoe told her that she had dreamed of people chasing her. Claire replied to Zoe that she did not need to be afraid because her father was there to protect them, and that it was best not to talk about these people. Zoe said that Sullivan was the one who told her that. Then Claire decided to take Zoe to see her father to check on him, and they went in a corridor under the house and were worried because of the shadow of someone who appeared behind the wall. When Claire told Zoe that her father was there, Zoe didn't believe her and put her face into her own world, but she was really surprised that her father, Ray, was there. Then Zoe went to run and hug her father and asked him why she was afraid. Ray answered her and started mocking how she slept with her eyes open. Zoe yelled, "Daddy," and told him that Sullivan wanted an estimate. Then Ray took his daughter and they went to sit down, his wife standing behind him. Then he told Zoe that he was playing with cards and won 3 times, but lost in the end. While they were talking, the son heard the sound of steps at the top. When Zoe decided to find out, the mother refused, but the father agreed that she would go upstairs. And Zoe begins to climb the stairs, and when she reaches the top, she checks the chains to make sure that the door is closed, then she goes down to sit with them. Zoe then told her mother that she was hungry, so they went to the storeroom where they found food packed in cans, including beans and potatoes. Zoe wanted peaches, while Claire wanted beans. Ray told her that she could choose anything, but he had already listened to Zoe's words. This angered her mother. Then they held a vote and the peach won, and Zoe tried to open the box while Claire went to fetch water, but the machine broke down, but he managed to fix it and Claire was busy bringing dishes. But Zoe stops her and tells them the box is empty. When the mother goes into the kitchen, she finds the can has holes in the side. Then you go to the storeroom and you find several cans with holes in the side and others in the bottom, and all the cans are completely empty. The mother thinks it is because of the mouse, but Zoe tells her the door is locked and there is no way anything can get in. But she discovers that there is another door that was not closed. The mother curiously asks if the breathers can get in through the door. The child insists on answering her question, while the mother replies with compelled difficulty that their size is too big and they cannot enter. The child remains very sad because she has no friends and does not eat much. And they only eat beans, and she spent all the years of her life in this place without going out. When the parents hear about this, the father convinces her that they are the only survivors and that everything they have is a blessing, and that if they eat it is a miracle, and that they are still alive and this is another miracle. And he continues to persuade her until she is satisfied and begins to eat while she is happy. At night, they keep playing cards until the little girl falls asleep. Claire talks to Ray and asks him if they are really the only survivors. She also tells him that she is not a child like Zoe to believe in miracles and that it is impossible for anyone to go out and be able to bring food with the presence of respirators, and that if Zoe gets sick they will not be able to treat her because there are no medicines cafe. The next day, the mother was explaining to Zoe some math, but Zoe was bored and asked her mother if they were really the last survivors, and here she is. Her mother gives her handmade glasses and tells her to look outside through them. The child is shocked because it is forbidden, but her mother stops her and tells her that she has changed. Then she receives the glasses and starts looking out the window. You see very old school but don't see any people. Her mother asks her what she sees, and she replies that she sees the school and the abandoned playground and that her father has a right, and that they are the only 2 left and there is no one else to live except them. Her mother tells her that there could be things they can't see but they are there. The child gets down and sits down again, and she replies that there may be people living but they are hiding like them. She sees the image of a mouse in the mirror and tells her mother at that moment. Her mother tells her that she should wake up her father because she can't kill anything. In this case, Claire informs Ray of what happened, as he was trying to catch the mouse, but he escaped and the knife got stuck in the table. Since the mouse has escaped and Ray cannot follow it, Claire decides to kill it with a large knife. But he avoided it and broke the scout as well. The flashlight was about to explode at any moment, and Ray could not turn it off because he tried to touch it and it was too hot and it exploded on the table. Ray goes to fetch water and the mother takes off the curtain and tries to turn off the table. At this time, Zoe moves away from the place because she wants to catch up with her toys on the table. Ray tries to fix the machine so he can fetch water and put out the fire. After fixing the machine and fetching water to put out the fire, the room goes dark and Claire turns on another torch. Ray goes to the hiding place under the bed to find a frightened Zoe. They try to reassure her that they have put out the fire and that everything is fine. Ray returns to retrieve Zoe's doll and goes to give it to her. He also notes that smoke seeps to the surface and will reveal their location to other breathers who might think they are alive. Here Ray remembers when they were living above the ground before hearing the breathers and when they were their neighbor John out and meet their other neighbors, including John's family, but when they go out they find the neighbors to pick up the necessary things and flee from the place. At the time, they are not given any detailed explanation about the virus that is transforming people, and they take the car and flee the city. However, usually Otto again. Back to the present time, Claire is very scared and feels that their whereabouts have been discovered. In this case the breathers will return to check the area. Ray tries to calm Claire down but Zoe finds dirt leaking from the fire. Then they go to the binoculars and discover that there is indeed dirt outside the building, which increases Claire's fear. And this time, Zoe supports Claire's suggestion of wiping the trail left by dirt to reveal their location. Kara suggests that they go out and mop the dirt outside the hideout, as there is no other solution. Zoe expresses her desire to go out with them, but Zoe's mother considers it impossible, and tells her that she will never follow them, and if she hears any outside sound other than theirs, she must lock the door. Then they come out of hiding, and Zoe goes to the binoculars to look for them and observe the place. Suddenly, she sees something approaching in the woods, and she screams, trying to get their attention, but they can't hear her. She quickly descends the stairs, opens the door, and runs towards Ray and Claire, who are hiding traces of dirt, and tells them that something is approaching them. And at that moment, 3 deer pass by them, so Ray tries to calm Zoe and tells her that they are just deer and there is no danger. But Zoe refuses and tells him that she is afraid that they are running away from something bigger, and Claire supports her in that. They rush back to the hideout quickly, and Ray enters and closes the door with an iron lock, and listens and tells them to keep their voices silent. Suddenly, they realize that there are sounds of footsteps, so they start to follow them until my family starts crying, and his mother tries to calm her down, fearing that the outlet that is above them will hear them, but by that she gets more afraid and increases the crying here. Her father calls her and tells her that everything will be fine, gives her a car and tells her that she can go anywhere using this car, and she wishes she was in her bed. This time, her father supports her and tells her it's time for her to relax in her bed after a long day. He looks at the star that glows in the dark, blows on her hair, and tells her the breeze is playing with it. Then he lifted his hand from her eyes, and by that time Zoe had felt calm and reassured. Then the parents kept listening to the sound of the creature that was above them, until the sound of its steps disappeared and it left. At that time, it was Zoe's toy was hanging from her string, and when Zoe pulled it, the toy made a very loud sound, and when Ray stopped the sound, it was too late, and the breather knew where they were and began trying to enter them. Claire turns to climb up to close the ladder when Ray brings her any coin she can use to block the entrance, and she succeeds. And after Ray hits the breather with a piece of iron, the place starts to shake, and at that time Ray remained stationary and brought back the memories again. When they were trying to escape from the city by car, but the government decided to close the city to the residents without allowing anyone to leave. Back to the present time, the breathers had already entered and started chasing after the family. Ray and Claire break the window next to the curtain and set it on fire to prevent the breathers from entering. And suddenly they discover a small closed hole, so Ray opens it using binoculars, and his wife comes down first, then his daughter, and finally Ray comes out, but he is very big, so they break his arm, and when half of him appears from the hole, the breathers pull them from his leg. They hear a strong scream from under the ground. At that time Zoe wants to go to Ray, but Claire stops her and hugs her. Then they run away from the respirators who follow them, and out onto the highway where the trouble started. They flee in the midst of cars until they are caught in a net surrounded by masked people who give them a strange injection that draws their blood. They then remember that they are forbidden to go out and see planes drop nuclear bombs on the city. Claire tells them that she had heard before about a shelter in the school near here, so they escape and the planes bomb the road leading to the shelter with what they are carrying, but they succeed in reaching the shelter and open it. Ray and Zoe descend, Claire being the last to enter, and she quickly tries to close the door. They succeed at the last moment, as a bomb is thrown at them, but the shelter is too strong for them to take any damage. When exploring the place, they find lots of food and toys for the kids. Right now Claire tells them that the virus is in the air and that they are infected. When blood is drawn from them, the commander asks how long they have been in the lair. And if her answer is correct, he will provide the necessary assistance. Indeed, you tell them that they were in the hideout from the beginning, and the soldiers prepare to beat them on the orders of the commander. But she starts screaming and tells them that he said he would help them. He replies that it is orders and puts his hand down to be beaten by the soldiers. But here Claire begins to transform and fear controls her, but Ray enters and cuts off the leader who was assaulting Claire, and starts killing the rest. But they hit him and kill him. At that moment Claire turns and tries to attack them, but she gets hit in the leg. And there was a soldier still alive and tried to kill Claire, but Zoe also turned because of her fear for her mother and hit the soldier, and she was about to hit Claire, but Claire managed to calm her down, and then they allowed the guard to survive because he had already turned. Then they go to Ray and say goodbye to him and he dies. Claire hides with Zoe, then they find John and he takes them to the neighbor's hideout where they all hide. Their daughter comes down and looks back and sees the sun and tells them that 302 days have passed, but Claire interrupts her and says to her, "Not a day, it's a miracle like what Ray told you." At last Zoe looked to hear Dad knife and comes out of the bunker. Although Claire didn't believe in miracles at first, she eventually became convinced of them. If you liked the video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel.